Hello, my name's Maria Schmitz. Welcome to Jonathan Escoffery's new book, If I Survive You, his long-awaited new book. In the 1970s, Topper and Sanya, his parents, flee to Miami as political violence consumes their native Kingston. But America, as the couple and their 2 children learn, is far from the promised land. Ostracized as black immigrants, the family struggles through Hurricane Andrew and then the 2008 recession, living in a house so cursed that the pet fish jumps out of its own tank rather than stay. But even when things fall apart, the family remains motivated, often to their own detriment, by what their younger son, Trelawney, calls the exquisite racking compulsion to survive. My impression is that this is a brutally daring book. Escoffery is perhaps the first to dare to address the shades of blackness with which he's constantly confronted in the USA. At school, the Puerto Ricans mistake him for a Puerto Rican until they realize he doesn't speak Spanish, at which point he's expelled from the group. In Trelawney's majority-minority school and throughout the book, the refrain runs like an incantation. What are you? Trelawney wants a one-word answer from his mother, but Sanya waves away his questions about his origins. All he knows is that he is a rather pale shade of brown. When he reinvents himself as black, his father scolds him for turning into some kind of Yankee Butu. His mother forbids him to bring home nappy-headed girls, and a teacher, Mr. Garcia, accuses him of plagiarism because his science essay doesn't sound like someone like you wrote it. Trelawney revises the essay to flatter Garcia's assumptions, whereupon the essay is generously marked with a -4. When I mention the word Jamaica to non-Jamaicans, Escoffery writes, no one thinks of CIA agents, figurehead prime ministers, or historical continuities. Instead, people associate wildly, as if I had confronted them with a rap cipher, Bob Marley, Irie, Ganja, poor people, sandals, Aman. At best, they think Jamaica's history began the moment they booked their all-inclusive holiday. The book is a second-person chronicle of the protagonist's early life as the younger of 2 brothers in a Jamaican immigrant family living in Miami. The story is Escoffery's most direct exploration of identity. As a protagonist, Trelawney tries to figure out where he fits in a Spanish-speaking, multi-ethnic city that can't make sense of his parents' Jamaican accents or his own ambiguous racial features. As the only American-born member of his immediate family, Trelawney cycles through potential identities, incurring the wrath of his father for adopting black American cadences and styles, and then, on a pilgrimage to Jamaica, being called a Yankee interloper for asking things like, do any of you look to England or West Africa as, the motherland? Otherwise, his holiday in Jamaica was quite a respite, as no one asked him such questions. College in the Midwest provides temporary, if unsatisfying, clarity. There he is definitely black, but also constantly told by black waiters and bartenders that you look like a guy who works here. A little less clarity begins to seem like a blessing. You wish some Dominicans would move into town, he writes. The you of this first story is inviting. The reader is invited to share Trelawney's search for an authentic self, if there is such a thing, by enduring the frustrations and microaggressions he encounters. But this gesture is productively complicated by the story that follows, also in the second person, this time narrated in patois by Trelawney's father, an uncompromising general contractor who favors his older son, Delano, for his similarities to himself. This preference for his older son fuels the conflict at the heart of the book. One day, after being called defective for his perceived softness and lack of gratitude, Trelawney attempts to cut down his father's beloved ackee tree, an obvious symbol of his Jamaican roots. He's promptly banished from his father's home. We then follow Trelawney periodically as he descends into the margins of society, living out of his car and taking ill-advised jobs on the internet. Here too, in the darkest recesses of society, Trelawney wrestles with the demands of identity. One story follows Trelawney's cousin Cookie as he develops a relationship with his own estranged father, a lobsterman who lives in the aptly named Smuggler's Key. Speaking of fathers, Topper is impulsive and homesick, and his moods annoy his wife Sanya, the family's breadwinner. Their older son, Delano, pretentious, charismatic, and prone to wise guy tautologies, is a budding guitarist and quarterback. Trelawney, the younger son, is bookish and ironic and the most frequent narrator. Unlike Delano, Trelawney doesn't have his father's blue eyes or easy swagger, and he burns, in his own words, at the way they fawned over my brother, the way he had already inherited the best of what my parents had to offer. It is no coincidence that Sanya is the breadwinner in this family, underlining Jamaica's reputation as a matriarchal society. The book moves back and forth in time, immersing us in the sultry atmosphere of Miami and the unresolved family tensions. Stay tuned for the Brota. Das ist der Nachtrag for Germans.
Während du immer mehr darüber erfährst, was es bedeutet, ein Schwarzer in Amerika zu sein, beschließt du, dich doch noch mit deinem jamaikanischen Erbe zu befassen. Du beginnst mit simplen Dingen. Auf einmal magst du alles mit Curry und Jerkfleisch. Deine Flagge, bis dahin rot, weiß und blau, leuchtet jetzt in Gold, Grün und Schwarz. Du stopfst deine Schubladen mit Bandanas und Armbändern in den jamaikanischen Nationalfarben voll. Deine Ein-Wort-Antwort lautet jetzt Jamaikaner, denn du findest sie offener, allumfassender. Außerdem, wenn du Amerikaner ergänzt hast, weil die Antwort Schwarz nicht zufriedenstellte, schüttelten die Fragenden stets den Kopf und sagten: Nein, du Idiot, woher kommen deine Eltern? Das meine ich. Jamaika ist die Lösung. Präziser geht's nicht. Trotzdem entgegnet die Hälfte der Leute, deren Frage, was bist du, mit Jamaikaner beantwortet wird. Du klingst aber nicht jamaikanisch. Wenn du Jamaikaner bist, wieso hast du denn keinen Akzent? Wenn du in Miami bist, sagen wir in der Dolphin Mall, und von einer Kassiererin auf Spanisch angesprochen wirst, erwiderst du, sorry, ich kann kein Spanisch, und lässt deine Standarderklärung für das Defizit von Stapel und bist beinahe beleidigt, als sie meint, sie sehen aber nicht jamaikanisch aus. Und wie sehen Jamaikaner aus? Den nächsten Satz lasse ich weg, denn sonst müsste ich mich fremdschämen. Dann kommt, eigentlich, versichert sie, kannst du nur aus der Dominikanischen Republik sein. In den Fluren des literaturwissenschaftlichen Seminars unterstellt dir ein koreanischer Freund, eine Dauerwelle zu haben. Weiße Mitstudierende zupfen während eines Seminars an deinen Haaren und entschuldigen sich dafür. Sie zupfen in einer Bar daran, ohne sich zu entschuldigen. Du hast stets geglaubt, es wären Klischees, hast gedacht, es wäre ein stark überzeichneter Mythos. Du schämst dich für die Menschheit. Dein Bruder Delano, der dir 4 Jahre Erfahrung voraus hat und merkt, dass du immer tiefer in diesem Schwellenzustand versackst, stellt die Sache schließlich klar. Du bist schwarz, Trelawney, in Jamaika war es anders, aber hier ist es nun mal so. Hier gibt's nur entweder oder. Und mit einem Grinsen fügt er hinzu, sorry, dass ich deine Illusionen zerstören muss. Dann gibt es die durchaus humorvollere Teile, wie die Dappies zum Beispiel, Geist auf Jamaikanisch, die zum Sündenbock für alles gemacht werden, sogar für die Verfehlungen des Vaters, wenn er in der Bar landet.